you work at a job that simply doesn't satisfy. By day, you work at a job that simply doesn't satisfy you. It's likely not a career, but simply a job. It pays the bills. It puts food on the table. But it doesn't light a fire inside of you. It doesn't fill you with a sense of, I can do it. It just is. But then there's the nighttime, when the rest of the world winds down. In the late, dark hours of the evening, a creative fire gets stoked inside you. The wheels of your brain kick in, the ideas start flowing. You feel a sense of excitement and adventure. You're doing what you know you're meant to do. And yet, there's a loneliness to it all. You work in isolation while others sleep. You wish you had people to bounce your ideas off of, a shoulder to lean on when something goes wrong. Others to applaud your achievements, no matter how big or small. People to encourage you to follow your dreams and goals. Solopreneurs, dreamers, builders, creators, resellers, makers, problem solvers. Like-minded people who want something better. We're here, and we're ready to listen and to help. Welcome to the Night Shift.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Night Shift. I am Mr. Rourke, your host. Tattoo is helping me set up Fantasy Island. No, I'm Jay Hartman. Welcome back. I am the CEO of Misti Media and all of its imprints here on another Friday night. Hope all of you had a good week. This is the Friday night hang for the Night Shift. This is the night that we don't really do any education, don't have guest speakers. We just kind of hang out here at the Misti Media Diner and shoot the shit, kind of talk about our week in the past that's gone by, what's new, what worked, what didn't work, what made us happy, what didn't, which bodies we killed and which ones we buried in shallow graves, or which ones we threw off the train to Shanghai. Or, if you don't want to implicate yourself, you can always plead the fifth and you'll be completely fine. You'll get away with it. And that's all that's really important, is getting away with it. Because it's not a crime unless they catch you. So those of you that tuned in last Friday might remember that I said that was a week that I really wanted to forget. Hello, Deborah. Hello, Sonia. And I know it's not actually Warren, but welcome, everybody. Good to see you all. So you folks might remember last Friday, me started the show going, that's a week that I would really like to put in the past. And Yeah, I'm not sure this week's much better. Um, uh, Everything at the day job pretty much reminded me this week why I can't wait to get out of there. Um, uh, just you know, all the same aggravations that I've always had times 10. It just seems like somebody took that volume button, just kind of cranked it right up there, uh, so that I spend 8 hours a day in annoyance rather than uh, actually enjoying anything. The job has taken a different turn recently, so I'm kind of responsible for a different set of things that I was responsible for, and a few things that are more in my wheelhouse. But uh, sometimes it starts at the top, and if you're not getting what you need from the people you report to, then that can take a lot of enjoyment out of the job. I've been watching a lot of videos lately regarding being an employee uh, for micromanagers. Let me just put it that way. And trying to learn some new skills to be more successful in dealing with all of it during the day so that I'm less frustrated. But it's sapping my will to live when it comes time to sit down at night and uh, try to focus on the publishing and get other stuff done. And um, I've impatience seems to be the word of the week. Uh, I have a lot of people that are being very impatient this week, um, who are kind of being very demanding of wanting everything now, and not understanding that some things are a process. Some things don't happen immediately. Some things can't just be done in 10 minutes or 30 minutes. I've always made it clear on the publishing side that uh, I've always made it clear on the publishing side that publishing is not my full time job right now. Um, Unfortunately, it is essentially my side hustle at the moment because I do have to have a day job that pays the bills, even though it doesn't. Um, so, uh, Getting emails from authors that are extremely impatient and want to know why, you know, their book isn't out yet when they signed a contract, you know, 6 months ago, and there's authors that have been waiting a year for their book to come out. Doesn't necessarily just because you're in indie publishing or doesn't necessarily mean that your books are going to come out any faster. Still comes down to available resources, and uh, so it's frustrating when people, as I'm sure all of you know, it's and again, yeah, am I? Does it sound like I'm whining and bitching and complaining? Maybe, but it's my show. It's why I created the Friday Night Hang for a place for people to come and bitch and complain. So hell with it. I pay the hosting fees. I get to bitch and whine along with everybody else. Sonia says, I used to say an emergency on your part does not constitute one on my part. I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that at all. The other fun piece that came in was this week that made me even less cheery. Uh, for those of you that might know or not know, I was in the ER a week ago Monday. God, it feels like, well, I guess it is almost 2 weeks. I mean, today's Friday again. Um, yeah, so apparently the hospital is going to charge me the maximum amount that they normally bill. Uh, so for the 4 hours that I was in the ER, 4 to 6 hours I was in the ER and everything, um, I am looking at a $14,000 hospital bill. Um, $14,000 because I have no insurance. Haven't had insurance in years. My daytime employer does not offer it. Actually, that doesn't offer any kind of benefit except 1 week of sick pay and 1 week of vacation after 10 years of working there. And not a living wage either. No bonuses, no, yeah. But you know what? I'm 54, and nobody wants to hire a 54-year-old because they can hire somebody outside of high school and pay them a quarter of what they pay me, in my experience. Wow, I'm just kind of all over the place today, aren't I? So yeah, that hospital bill. I did some calculations, and it would have been more affordable for me to die. So uh, a funeral, let's say cremation. Uh, let's say we don't even really do a funeral, right? Because I'm not going to have that many people show up. So it's it's going to be a very small gathering when the time comes. I mean, my dog, um, Luis might be there. My husband might be there. There's a possibility he'll show up, or he may just look at it as like, "Good night to go to the bar." Um, it would have actually been cheaper for me to die and to be cremated than to go to the hospital and get fixed. So I guess I made a bad call. Uh, what was the most financially responsible thing to do? I didn't do it. I failed in my duty to save money and to watch expenses by agreeing to live. So, oops, my bad. Uh, I live in Las Vegas. Uh, Deborah says, I feel you. I'm still waiting for the hospital bill from when my husband was in the hospital in early May. Aren't you just cringing? Aren't you just like it kind of gives you that sense of dread? Like, please, I don't want to see the bill. I don't want to. And Deborah, I mean, it's hard for me to bitch when everything you've been through. Um, so it's hard for me to complain, but once again, it's my channel. I get to. Um, ownership has its privileges. Uh, so yeah, that kind of just really struck me this week. And for those of you that don't know, Deborah's husband passed shortly after he had been in the hospital, and it was awful. And we love Deborah. Oh my God, she's the sweetest, and proof that bad things happen to good people. Um, which would take me into a whole other discussion uh, that that we won't go down the road of why do bad things happen to good people. That would be a topic for a whole other night, because that's why do children get bone cancer? No, not gonna go there tonight. No, I'm gonna be good. Somehow I've got to end the week on a positive note somehow, right? Um, we gotta look at what happened, not dwell on what happened. Take it, learn from it. My mother had been really, really sick back in the day. Um, she was a severe diabetic, and when people say uh, that nobody dies from diabetes, they just die from the complications. That's really true. That's very, very true. And mom was no different. And they had put her on prednisone at one point to try to cure some stuff, and she put on a ton of weight and a ton of liquid retention and put a huge strain on her heart. Um, and so in the end, that's pretty much what got her. Uh, I wasn't there. We were estranged at that point. Um, that's another story um, uh, for another time. You know, just keep this in mind. You find out your son is gay. Uh, your first response is, "Who else around here knows? Don't tell anybody. We still have to live here." So that should tell you quite a bit about my mom. Um, that and after knowing my husband and him treating her so well, uh, her telling him that what does he know about happiness, and then telling me that at the time, Florida, we didn't have gay marriage in the U.S., but Florida was having an election about it. And I remember my mom saying, I don't know who I'm going to vote for president, but I sure as hell am not going to vote for gay marriage. And that was the end of that. So, yeah, I wasn't around when she died. Um, but I digress. Uh, and I don't even know. Oh, yes, the hospital stuff. So mom had been hospitalized quite a bit for all the stuff related to diabetes and bad health and that sort of thing, and racked up a ton of hospital bills herself. My stepdad was a disabled veteran, so he got, you know, fairly decent treatment at the VA clinic. My mom, as a result of being married to a veteran, got some treatment covered, not a lot. And she certainly didn't have health insurance. So she racked up a ton of hospital bills. And I remember her having a discussion with one of the hospitals, and they said, "Well, you need to go on a payment plan, and we need you to pay this much each month." And mom said, "Well, I can't do that. I can afford to give you this much a month." And they said, "Well, that's not good enough. If you don't pay it, we're going to turn you into collections." And mom said, "Great, turn me into collections. Then I can send $10 a month, and there's nothing you can do about it, because as long as I am consistent and I never miss a month and I pay $10 a month, you can't say I'm not paying my bill." And damned if that isn't what she did for the rest of her life. She got turned into collections for however many, you know, double or hundred thousands of dollars she had in medical bills, uh, and uh, she paid them $10 a month for the rest of her life. Uh, so I figure, fuck it. If it worked for her, it can work for me too. They can't get blood from a stone. And I'm not about to lose the publishing house over, you know, an ER visit. Uh, so yeah, and I have no assets. I mean, you know, I got nothing to show. So it's not like they can take anything. And hey, you want my books? Absolutely. Here, let me bundle up all my books for you, and uh, you can do whatever you want with the $1.50 you get for them. That should go a long way towards paying that bill. Deborah says, "I just sent you an email with a resource." Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Michael, good evening, Michael. Welcome to the J. Hartman bitch session. As this turned out, what a negative start I had to this show. That was not my intention tonight, um, but I was having all the feels. Yeah, I've had it kind of pent up all week, so this kind of becomes my vent board, um, which I have no idea if the universe and everyone out there actually cares. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that you know sits there and just makes videos and lets everybody into every single aspect of their personal life. But I figure the people that are tuning into the night shift on a Friday night, are people that pretty much know me anyway. Um, and you know what? This isn't even the worst of it, because the worst of what's happening right now isn't even happening to me. It's happening to my dear friend Walt Boyes, my editor at large, for Nazca Press, my science fiction imprint. Um, let's see. Deborah says, "I spent 2 hours on Friday talking to Social Security trying to get my widow's spousal benefits. What a pain in the arse." I just saw a clip, Deborah, about it just popped up in my feed. It was a support group for widows, and they were trying to keep it lighthearted and making jokes and talking about the stuff. But one woman was talking about how she was trying to cancel her husband's AT&T account because obviously he wasn't using the phone anymore, but the account was in his name, and they insisted that they couldn't make any changes to the account without talking to the account holder. And she was like, "Well, if you have a Ouija board, we might be able to accomplish something." Uh, I don't get it. But Walt, for those of you that might have seen him because he's connected to my page, Walt's an extremely good guy. Um, uh, Deborah says, "I was in a widow group. Some guy DM'd me and wanted a date." Oh, good lord! Read the room, people. Like that. Yeah, that's You ever wonder if people show up in that group for that reason? Like they're not really actually a widow themselves. Uh, you know, that's just going there to prey on the innocent. I've always wondered how many people in those groups are legitimately there for that cause and how many aren't. Um, that would really suck. But um, Walt's wife Joy has been ill for quite some time. I won't go into too much of it. I mean, most of it he's made public on his Facebook page, so I'm not talking out of school or saying anything about him and his family that not already public knowledge. But yesterday, Joy had what appears to be a stroke. We're not positive yet, and uh, because of other underlying conditions, there are only certain hospitals she can be seen at in the SeaTac area. So now they have moved her to a hospital that is 3 hours away from Walt, which is making it virtually impossible for him to get there and be by her side. He's got obligations back home and he's trying to get all that squared away. And trust me when I tell you that if I could just say fuck it to the day job and jump on a plane right now and go hang out at his house and take care of his dogs and take care of his life there so that he could go and be with Joy. I would absolutely be doing it in a heartbeat. I've told him repeatedly now, whatever you want, whatever you need, just tell me and I will find a way to help you. Um, they've been together since God was a boy. And I don't know two people who are more in love with each other after all of these years. Um, they're such a good couple. I mean, they're just so right for each other. They're just like the perfect match. I mean, every couple's got their issues, right? But Joy and Walt are amazing human beings. They're and they're fantastic friends. They were close to Sandy also, so when Sandy passed, we had a lot in common. Uh, but I it was a no brainer for me to bring Walt and Joy in to run Nazca Press for me. Um, I can't. I mean, they're so well connected and well respected in the sci-fi and fantasy realms. Um, it was just a no-brainer to have them there. But to see Walt going through this is absolutely heartbreaking. Um, this is the love of his life, and she's 3 hours away, and there's no easy way for him to be there with her, and he's terrified of losing the love of his life, understandably so. Um, and I think that's kind of been on my mind more so today, in that I think about when I was in the ER a couple weeks ago, and what that would have meant if something had happened to me, and Luis had been left here with Zeke. Um, Now I think about Walt and Joy, and uh, there's just been a whole lot of death lately. I was talking about this with somebody the other day. Actually, it was today. We were talking about the fact that we're reaching an age where uh, friends are starting to pass, or celebrities that we grew up with, or people that we respected. There's that age where it's like people you sort of know that passed, but that may not have had as big of an impact on you, or celebrities from a previous generation that you know of, but they didn't directly impact you or your growing up, so it didn't hit you as hard. Um, I'm curious for those of you in the chat, which celebrity passing impacted you the most? Like who, you know, when you saw that they had passed, which one did you actually feel something like your heart actually break? Who would that have been? I know for a lot of people, it was Prince or Michael Jackson. I'm enjoying my tasty beverage of a Coke Zero tonight. Hope all of you have them. Have decent ones. Uh, Michael says Leslie Jordan because we were friends and it wrecked me. Oh my God, Michael. First of all, you must be peanut butter because I'm all jelly over here about the fact that you personally knew Leslie Jordan. Um, God knows that man was funny. And I think if it weren't for Leslie Jordan, I think a lot of us might not have come out the other side of the pandemic. Um, I think a lot of people first found, yeah, he had done Will and Grace, but I don't think a lot of people really, really knew him until he uh, started his stuff during the pandemic. And uh, boy, I loved him too. I thought he was hilarious. Uh, Rob Reiner, that's a tough one. Yeah. Um, when you think about all the contributions he made, we won't talk about the way certain people talked about him after his death, which was disgusting. Um, but I mean, Rob Reiner left a really lasting impact. Uh, I mean, big time. Um, Whitney and Prince. Um, I didn't have the same feeling for Whitney Houston. I mean, I liked her music, but I wasn't like really into Whitney Houston. Prince was a little tough because that was like Prince was like the soundtrack for uh, my late, well, more middle school. Yeah, I mean, like mostly middle school days. So I had grown up on Prince. Um, yeah. Deborah says Ozzy was worse than Prince's passing for me. Yeah, it's funny. So many people had really different relationships with Ozzy. Like for some people, they had never heard a single, or they would tell you they had never heard a single Black Sabbath song. Um, I didn't listen to his music, but as a man, I really liked Ozzy. Um, I really liked his no nonsense, just said whatever shit came to mind, just was right there. But to see how adored he was, um, especially by his family. I mean, truly, truly loved by his family. But then for his fans, I mean, his fans just absolutely worshipped him. And to see the outpouring of love for him and his family after his passing um, was amazing and really, really awesome to see. Sonia says Richard Biggs from Babylon 5 because we became friends. Novelist Anne Crispin was a friend. I had a feeling you were going to say Anne Crispin. I had a feeling because I remember when all that happened, and I remember how incredibly sad you were. Uh, Deborah says I was a bartender and a waitress for the bands Enough's Enough and Disturbed before they got big. She's a rock and roll princess. That's what Deborah is. She's a rock and roll princess. Uh, Gene Rep, I can't say I recognize the name, which is terrible. I probably should, but I don't recognize that name. Um, Bowie was a tough one for me. Um, Bowie was a tough one for me because again, that's the soundtrack. Uh, that's the soundtrack to my childhood. Um, China Girl and Let's Dance and the movie Labyrinth, and so Bowie was a hard one for me. Uh, Tom Petty was another one for me. That was like the soundtrack of my youth. Um, that one was a tough go. There's been uh, I hated uh, in the acting world, and of course because it's late night, I'm blanking on her last name. How can that be? Diane Keaton. There we go. Diane Keaton. That just wrecked me. Losing Diane Keaton wrecked me. Um, Betty White, losing Betty White was a wreck. I mean, everybody kind of knew it was coming because of her age, but still. Um, and now it's like everybody just wants to put Dolly Parton in a bubble and cryozone and uh, make sure nothing ever happens to Dolly. Um, because I think you would be hard pressed to find Anybody that the world sort of universally loves, the way they love Dolly Parton. Um, I think that one will be a tough one for the whole world uh, when that time comes. And I ain't looking for that. My cousin, she lost her dog this week after 15 years. I mean, I can't even imagine what my life would be like without Zeke. Um, yeah, he annoys me. I have to bribe him with a treat to make him be quiet while I'm doing the blog. But uh, you know, I don't even want to think about that. Michael says I only knew Rue McClanahan for 2 weeks when she had her stroke. That was like watching all the Golden Girls go was. Oh yeah, there was Betty White was tough. What a national treasure she was. Boy, was she ever right till the end. Um, yeah, so it's and I've lost authors. I've had authors pass, which has been tough. Um, as is well documented around here, was losing Sandy is the biggest loss I've ever had. Um, I I mentioned when she passed that uh, I hadn't even had a family member pass uh, that had struck me so strongly as Sandy. I feel like she is still around. Michael says they went in the order of their age in the show, which is creepy. Yeah. Uh, Estelle went first, right? Estelle was the youngest, followed by B. Arthur, followed by Rube, followed by Betty, if I've got the order right. And and everybody thought Betty was going to outlive all of us, right? But the only person that's going to outlive all of us is Keith Richards. Uh, he is more pickled. Uh, after nuclear holocaust, the only things that'll be left will be cockroaches and Keith Richards. They'll be the only things capable of survival. Though I gotta say, everybody in the Rolling Stones still looks really decent for their age, and Paul McCartney looks like he's drinking from the fountain of youth. Um, what's kind of sad is there's reached a point there where like cultural relatedness has gone to a point where you know there's a demographic there that if you say the Rolling Stones, they go who, or you say Paul McCartney and they go who. Uh, and it's sad to think that there are generations that won't be as impacted, uh, you know, by the music of these folks just because they didn't grow up with it. Deborah says, "I can't believe that Mick Jagger is still alive." Maybe it's true that like smoking and drugs and alcohol and a ton of sex and bacon all you know, just keep you alive forever. Michael says Paul Rudd will outlast everyone because he doesn't age. Boy, that Paul Rudd has a portrait somewhere hanging in an attic that is doing all the aging for him, just like Dorian Gray. Um, I'm convinced there's some kind of spell. Um, but then you see people that you kind of always thought would be young, and then oh, that's really true. Yeah, mention Bob Hope, and you get blank stares. Johnny Carson is another one that nobody. Kind of sad. There's a point here now where like Joan Rivers, people don't know. I've seen some clips recently of Joan and just forgot completely how damn funny she was. I mean, just absolutely hilarious. I saw a clip today. Uh, for those of you that remember the version of Hollywood Squares that involved Whoopi Goldberg as the center square, and the host was Tom Bergeron, and apparently they've once again rebooted the Hollywood Squares, and they had Tom Bergeron as one of the panelists, and I almost didn't recognize him. He has aged so much, and I mean that version of the show was, I guess, 90s maybe. Um, I didn't recognize him at all. It's a good thing they put his name up, and I mean I knew his voice, but facially I was like, I don't see the Tom Bergeron in there that I remember. Um, and that's tough too when when the folks you remember kind of a certain way in your brain. Um, you know who else has aged extremely well? And oh yeah, uh, Michael says it will never be as great as when Shadow Stevens was on the show. Um, so Shadow was the same time period. So he was the he was announcer for Tom Bergeron, and then was on literally on the show in the bottom center square, as I recall, is where he lived. I've been catching up on a lot of old Hollywood Squares episodes. I don't know why they came up in my feed, and I started watching. I think it was all because the Gilbert Gottfried "You Fool" episode that. Cheryl says, I saw Sally Jesse Raphael on a show the other day. Didn't even recognize her. Wow. There's a name from the past. Uh, Good grief. Yeah, I mean, something tells me if you don't have the money to keep it up to look the way you did, um, you know who just keeps getting better looking with age, and somehow now, I mean, he's my age, and yet I think he's eight. Like for every 20 years, I think he only ages five. Um, is Anthony Michael Hall? Every time I see Anthony Michael Hall in a uh, oh, you're right, Michael. John Davidson was the host when Shadow was there. My mistake. Um, uh, Anthony Michael Hall looks amazing. Like, why can't I look like Anthony Michael Hall? Uh, the guy looks fantastic, and he's only I think he's a year younger than I am. What the hell, people? Like, that's not fair. Well, why does he get it and I don't? If you look at all of the Breakfast Club, uh, everybody still looks good. It's like there was something in the water on on the shoot of that film that just somehow kept any of the Brat Pack from aging. Um, yeah, like it's easier to look great when you have money. Well, that's yeah, and I agree. So, and forgive me, Warren, who are you really in there? I know that's I want to say, uh, please let me know. I know it's not Warren. Sally Field still looks great. Yes, she does. I love the fact that they have to put her in makeup to make her look old. I think that's hilarious. She's at an age where you're like, okay, she should just be aging normally and blah. No, whenever they want her to play older, they gotta put her in a heavy amount of makeup to make her look older. That movie she just did with the octopus, um, the that just I was like, God, you can just tell how much makeup they had to put on her. Um, but she's always had that youthful look to her. Um, but yeah, I mean, you see the Meg Ryan though, girl, what did you do? What did you do, Meg? Why? None of us recognize you anymore, Meg. We don't know who you are. We miss you. Whoever you were, we miss who Meg Ryan used to be because she ain't in there anymore. I don't know who's in that body, but whoever that is ain't. Oh, okay, Warren. I'm sorry. Awesome. Uh, what? Sonia says I was gobsmacked when someone said Marissa Tomei was 60. What? 60 years old? No. No. Cyndi Lauper looks better today than she did 40 years ago. I agree. Cindy's also one of those people that I'm going to be absolutely just completely wrung out and devastated when that day comes. Um, she is such a good human being. Um, I mean, oh, yeah. I'm also one of the three people on the planet that really loves her movie Vibes with her and Jeff Goldblum. I know there's three of us on the planet. I'm not sure who the other two are that actually watched it. Um, if you saw it, you have to appreciate it for what it is. Is it great cinema? No. Is it switch off your brain and have a really great time watching it kind of movie, absolutely. Even the special effects aren't all that bad, but it's Cindy being Cindy, it's Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum, and the two of them together are really really good. It also has one of the what I think is one of the most underrated Cyndi Lauper songs, "Hole in My Heart," that goes all the way to China. Um, I think that may actually be my favorite Cyndi Lauper song. The video, video's a little racist. Not gonna lie, there's a little. Uh, there's a couple apologies that might need to be issued for that video. Um, but I did see her. I did see a video of her performing that "Hole in My Heart" that goes all the way to China. I saw a video of her performing that somewhere on a recent tour, and damn, that woman still has pipes. There was a big deal that happened here in Vegas because uh, Cindy had a brief residency here a few months back. I think she had like a month of shows, and I think she was at Caesars. And you talk about what a great person. There's this karaoke bar in downtown Vegas, old Vegas, and she would just show up there after her shows and hang out and sing karaoke with everybody, and uh, was charming and graceful and gracious, and uh, nobody swarmed her. Everybody treated her like with respect, and so that made it an even better night, from what I understand. And she literally hung out all night at this bar with everybody, and made herself approachable to absolutely everyone. Um, I love it when celebrities remember that they wouldn't have a celebrity status if it weren't for their fans, and Cindy has never forgotten that. Never. So I saw her perform live in concert in Tokyo, and she was one row away, standing on the out chair. I could almost touch her hand. Oh, I really wanted to see her on this last tour. Was the Rainbow something? I really wanted to see her on that tour, and didn't get the opportunity, which was a bummer. Um, so the one concert I always wanted to see that I just never was able to make it work. But I hear I mean, when you hear her sing, she still clearly has it. And one of the episodes of Hollywood Squares I was just watching had Captain Lou Albano as one of the squares, and you guys might remember that Cindy was really tied into uh, the whole wrestling crowd. As a matter of fact, her video for Goonies Are Good Enough, most famous for the fact that it's a two-part video. One part released before the movie came out, second part released after the movie came out. That's filled with wrestlers. I mean, just the whole thing is just nothing but the good guys and the bad guys in that whole video. But apparently, she and Captain Lou were uh, part of a really big deal charity together, which I hadn't even realized. But I mean, Cindy has spent her entire life doing charities, and really supportive of the LGBTQ uh, uh, nation, and because so many of us kind of wanted to be Cindy. Um, I always loved that she was just unapologetically her. Um, and I love people that, I mean, Cher is that way too. You got I don't love Cher for the typical gay icon stuff. Uh, I'm just not that kind of gay. Um, but I love Cher for the fact that she's Cher. She doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks, and she just does what she wants and says what she says, and uh, lives her life on her terms. And I really, really respect that. I love people like that who just, you know, certainly not hurting anybody, doing her thing. Uh, but you have to appreciate the honesty, the honest living. Um, and I mean, can we just talk about how awesome she is in Mask, and how she was just completely robbed of an Oscar for Mask, that she should have totally won Best Actress for that movie. Um, And I'm one of those weird people that was like, okay, I don't understand why she got the Oscar for the movie that she did. Uh, I'm not one of those people that complained when Marissa Tomei won an Oscar for My Cousin Vinny, but um, really, like, you know, uh, eh, um, yeah, I. Sonia says, I saw a video of Cindy and Cher singing Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I really wanted to be in that audience. Oh, I just had a thought. The other massive one that killed me when she died, Tina Turner. Because this just reminded me about all the shows that Cher and Tina Turner did with the Divas. I think it was VH1 that kept doing the Divas concerts. And there is this clip that you guys gotta watch. Um, it's from one of the Diva concerts, and uh, it's Tina performing the best, but it starts with her limo pulling up outside of the theater and getting out of the limo, and it's those legs. Like those, I mean, the first thing you knew Tina Turner's legs when you saw them, right? I mean, like they were half of her or more, three-quarters of her were legs, and that beat of that song starts, and you realize she's walking in step to the beat of her song, and at one point she gets a little off, and you see her do this little quick hop as she's walking to get back into beat, and she's walking through the lobby of the theater where this concert is, and she's waving to everybody, all the workers, because everybody obviously is inside where the concert is. So she's walking through the lobby, and there's all the concession people, and there's people for that are filming the show that are off to the side, and she's waving to everybody, and she's still walking in step, and she comes through those doors of the theater and starts walking down the aisle, and everybody is on their feet, and uh, she's waving to everybody, and everybody's going nuts, and even in all the chaos she's still walking on beat, and she is just strutting her stuff, being Tina, and walks up on that stage. She's come all the way from outside, she's come all the way from the street, she's walked through the entire theater lobby, she's come all the way down through the audience, walks up on stage without missing a beat, gets right into the song. Boom. Deborah says, I'm off to bed. Uh, Done invoicing. Have a better weekend. Thank you so much, Miss Deborah. And thank you so much for stopping by and being part of the night shift. Loved having you here. We're here every Friday. So if you get more time on Fridays, by all means, stop by, say hi. But oh my God, if you guys ever get a chance to watch that clip, like if you didn't appreciate Tina before, that clip will do it. I mean, that is just going to tell you right there, like who she was and what she was capable of. That those legs and that beat and that voice and the yeah. So I remember when Tina died, and I was just like, that's an icon gone right there. That's a tough one, especially after Tina. How many of you saw What's Love Got to Do with It in the theaters? Um, I saw it in the theaters. What's Love Got to Do with It is the biopic of Tina Turner, and how she got started. And uh, I love a good audience participation movie. I love a good movie where you go in and you sit in the audience and people are talking at the screen, but you don't care because all of you are into the show, like all of you are into the movie, and everybody's so wrapped up in it that they're talking to the screen. The first time that ever happened to me, and really, it wasn't. I mean, it was coached, right? So The first time that happened was I saw Scrooge in the movie theater. Scrooge with Bill Murray, Bobcat Goldthwait, uh, tons of Carol Kane is in that. She's a fairy. Oh, God, that voice from Carol. But uh, Scrooge has this great ending that if you stay through the credits, uh, everybody is singing "Put a Little Love in Your Heart," and then Bill Murray basically steps out of character and starts talking to the audience, and you know, getting the audience to sing along is like okay, let's hear all the men. Okay, now let's hear all the real men. Okay, the left side of the theater. Okay, now the right side of the theater, and everybody did it. Everybody just did it. Like there wasn't any of this. Just sit there and watch the movie and like, oh, that's nice. That's kind of a fun thing. No, it was an audience participation thing. They had us. Bill could have told any one of us to sing or stand up and do a solo, and everybody in that crowd would have done it. Um, it was it again. It's an experience you don't get watching that movie at home. Like that's an experience you have to have with an audience. And it was the same thing when I went to go see What's Love Got to Do with It in the theaters because uh, when Tina comes in her own and starts beating the shit out of Ike, uh, man, that audience yelled and screamed, "You go, Tina! You go, girl! You get his ass! Beat his ass!" I loved every second of it. It was some of the most fun I've ever had going to the movies. Um, and I still love I still love watching the videos of like huge reveals in the Avengers movies. And the ones uh, where you could tell the audience was truly fans, and they show you that scene with Captain America kind of all by himself, uh, against all odds, up against Thanos, and then the portals all start opening everywhere, and all your favorite Marvel characters start coming through, and that audience is screaming. I mean, just absolutely screaming. Um, how cool would it have been to be in the room with all that energy? Like same thing when I don't agree with the throwing around of trash and all that, but all the people that went and saw the Minecraft movie and were really into it, like how much fun would it be to be in an audience in a movie like that where everybody's there because they're genuine fans and they're excited and uh, loving what's happening on the screen. Too many movies you go and you watch them and you walk out and you're like, although I haven't been to the theaters since easily pre-pandemic, so I haven't seen a movie in the movie theaters in at least 7 years. Um, but uh, I love that kind of an audience. It doesn't bother me that people are excited into it. Uh, Sonia says mostly black audience roared when Black Panther came through the portal. Well, Sonia, that was the. I mean, let me tell you, it was the sisters in What's Love Got to Do with It. Let me tell you, that were up on their feet yelling at that screen at Tina. Uh, uh, that was yeah, which is even more fun. They spoofed that pretty much in one of the Scary Movie films. And I think it's Scary Movie 2, is it, where she gets killed uh, in the opening credits for talking back to the screen, and the whole audience is like, "Yeah, she's dead." Um, but I loved that. I thought that was hysterical. What movie did you watch where you stayed for the closing credits? Uh, mine, mine was Airplane. Um, let's see. I know I stayed through the credits for Airplane. Uh, uh, Back to the Future movies. Even though there wasn't anything in the Back to the Future movies in the credits, I stayed for all of those. Um, yeah, I guess there weren't too many I stayed for until I learned that some movies had. Um, Clue was another one. Um, Oh, see, we got two people saying Spider-Man: No Way Home, uh, with uh, with Toby and Andrew coming through. Yeah, that would have been cool in the theaters too. Yeah, I kind of wish I'd experienced that. That would have been awesome. Um, so yeah, I guess I haven't stayed through that many credits. I guess if you're a Marvel fan, you're sort of trained now that you have to stay. Um, Wait, exhale when Angela Bassett set the car on fire. Oh, the other one, Sonia, is oh, you got to help me here because it's the best of the Medea movies. Um, what is that called? I can picture it. It's one of the very first Medea movies, um, uh, where it was before Medea was really like the central character. But it's the one where the woman is thrown out of her house by her husband. Um, oh my god, I can't believe I can't think of the name right now. Uh, that's gonna make me nuts. Um, uh, Went to see He-Man because I've always been a fan, big kid when it comes to He-Man. How was that? Uh, I caught a clip of it the other day. It seems like uh, they're kind of intentionally making it funny. Um, Michael, you got to help me here. Sonia's not coming through for me because see, Sonia, what I liked about it was that Medea's in it, but it's not set up like a Medea comedy. It's a strong theatrical movie that happens to have Medea in it for the comedic elements. Um, it's not I Can Do Bad All by Myself. It's not that one. Uh, Michael, help me here. The 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 Medea film. It's one of the early ones. Uh, where the woman gets literally physically dragged out of her house by her ex husband. God, he says he doesn't watch it either. Okay, fine. Hell with all of you. I'm going to figure this out. We're going to do it together. I'm not going to log off until we have it. So, uh, Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Diary of a Mad Black Woman is the one that I actually was disappointed uh, by later Medea movies because I wanted them to all be like Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I wanted them to all have that level of drama. That's a brilliant freaking movie, people. Like, if you haven't seen that, the acting in that is exceptional. Um, because, again, the movie's not really about Medea. Um, and the emotional baggage that these actors carry in it, I don't know how they weren't absolutely just utterly exhausted by the time they were done shooting. I mean, everything is put out there on, but that scene of her being dragged through the house and literally thrown out the front door is one of the most powerful things I think I've ever seen in a movie. Zeke, you finished your treat, didn't you? Is that why you're being all annoying now? That only lasted like half an hour, and I still have to record another video tonight. Yeah, I'm supposed to be on. So tomorrow, I'm supposed to be on the monthly reseller train shop hop. Um, Normally, I'm doing that live and with a author guest that I'm interviewing, but they changed the time and they changed the date to a point that I can't be there anymore because I'm at work. But I didn't really want to give up the slot, so uh, I have to do a lot. I have to do a pre-recorded, and I still haven't recorded my video. And yeah, uh, I'm pushing it here. It's already 8 o'clock at night. Zeke is already annoying the crap out of me because I'm paying attention to you guys and not paying attention to him, and I'm gonna have to bribe him with yet another half-hour wolf ball so I can get him to be settled down so I can film the show. So I think on that note, I think we're going to call it there for tonight's episode. Thank you all very, very much for stopping by and for being a part of the show, and all that good stuff. I know you have plenty of places you could spend your Friday night. Um, Oh, who am I kidding? We can't get dates. That's why we're here. I'm gonna cry. Um, but I do appreciate y'all stopping by. Um, I remind people all the time. Look, this channel's not monetized. Um, I'm not about especially with the latest updates, the chances of me ever getting monetized for Misty Media is slim to none, because I just don't ever see me having that kind of viewership to be able to get us to that point with YouTube's new rules, and that's okay. I just this is a creative outlet for me. Um, this is a way for me to kind of get away from what I do all day long, and to give some time to just me. And So I appreciate all of you being part of my little social experiment, if you will, here on YouTube, and for supporting Misty Media. We've always been Misty Media, not Misty Media Publishing, because publishing is just one aspect of what I wanted to do. All those imprints, that's part of what we do, but it's certainly not all that I want to do. And I have a lot of irons in the fire, and just going to keep bringing stuff to you guys. So again, very much appreciate y'all being here. Have yourself a really great night. Find a really good book to read. Read it and come back and tell me all about it.